Okay, so now we're going to talk about an equation. So we've been dealing with expressions. Say 5 plus x. Okay, that's an expression. All right? We could also write down the number 12. That's also an expression. What an equal sign does is it relates to expressions. See, in this instance, I have no idea what x is. X is what we call a variable. And a variable is simply something that varies. Okay, it could be anything. It could be 2, it could be a 5, it could be a 15. We don't know. Okay? All we know is that whatever it is, we're adding it to 5. The moment we put an equal sign in, now we're comparing it to something. So we say, okay, well 5 plus x equals 12. So now there's this limitation. Now we can figure out what that is, because there's only one thing that we can add to 5 to get to 12. Okay? So an equation, and we'll get into the solving later. An equation it's like one of those teeter-totters. Ever got on a teeter-totter on the playground? Right? It's in perfect balance. So if you get a 50-pound kid on one side of that teeter-totter, this thing's going to go out of balance. Right? It's no longer going to be balanced. Okay? But if we add another 50-pound kid to this side, it goes back into balance. Okay? And that's what an equation is like. It's something that's in balance. It means that this side equals this side. They're the same thing. This side of this equation, it is a 12. It's just not quite in that form. Okay? So if all of a sudden I multiply the amount of kids I have here, say by adding another 50-pound kid, it goes out of balance again. But if I add a 50-pound kid over here, so in other words, I do the exact same thing to one side of the teeter-totter as I did to the other, it swings back into balance. This thing is now in balance. Okay? And if I remove one of these 50-pound kids, okay, it's going to be out of balance again unless I do the same thing to this side by removing a 50-pound kid. So again, whatever I do to one side of that teeter-totter, as long as I do it to the other, I'm good to go. And the same is true with an equation. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, as long as I do it to the other, we're golden. Okay? Now, with an equation, it's really important to recognize it. And it's very simple. If you have an equal sign, if you have an equal sign in there, you have an equation. Okay? If you've got an equal sign, sorry, let me rephrase that. Got an equal sign, you got stuff written on one side and stuff written on the other, you're good to go. Okay? If you don't have that equal sign, you don't have an equation.